Here I go again, y'all. Greetings, Goddess Body Mind Spirit community. This is your Goddess Guru, Tyra Omilade, here to share a word of inspiration with you on your path to self-realization and self-mastery. Today is April 16th, 2018, and we have finally made it through the official first new moon of this year. Moon in Aries. How was that for you? It wasn't too bad for me. Just I'm just like I told you all the other day, I'm very introspective no matter what. So I'm just happy that I am walking in awareness and able to kind of just keep up with what's going on in my consciousness, able to be aware of the moon so that I can set, new moon intentions, and just really introspective about this 30 years that I keep going on and on about. It's so interesting when it's really time for something to happen. When we're open to it, we will grab it and just run with it. And that's what astrology has been for me. I sort of wish I had found it sooner. I've always played around with it, sort of looked at my horoscopes here and there or whatever, but never delved deeply into it, never listened to astrologers for the most part. And, since last year I've been listening to it. And so them talking about this Saturn transit through Saturn in Capricorn is back at home. And so we need to be planning for the next 30 years. It has me so sober. Like, I mean, yeah, I absolutely could be here for another 30 years at my age, easily 40 years, but I don't know. And it's not a lot of time. It's not a lot of time. So just really thinking about what do I want to achieve over the next 30 years. So I don't think I've ever planned out that far. So we'll see. Anywho, that's like not, it's exact opposite. I was about to say that's 180, and actually literally the astrological wheel, they are 180 from each other. So, work with the Taurus energy, indulge yourself a little bit, get artsy, get creative today, and take care of yourself. Get out in nature. If you're in a place where you're okay with the nature that's out there, I'm not okay with this cold weather in Tennessee. I'm not okay with this. So I'll be inside looking outside. But get out into nature. So that's where we are right now with the Taurus moon. It just moved there like in the middle of the night, I think. What I got on to talk to you about today is I did a reading for you all, and I pulled from my Mayan oracle. I should have picked the card up to. Let me see if I can get it. Hold on one second. This is a beautiful oracle deck. If you can get a hold of the Mayan oracle, I would recommend it. It's a beautiful, beautiful oracle deck. If you can get a hold of it, I highly recommend it. But I pulled Ish for the group. Let me see here. Where is Eek? Not Ish. Eek. This is what it looks like. And you see that T in there? I just now noticed it. I did some reading on it. That T is a symbol for the tree of life. Very fascinating. I recently started reading through my Mayan Oracle book because I did a reading for myself. And I thought, you know what? I just want to learn a little bit more about it. So they have like the quick read to kind of give you, the highlights of it. And then there's like this longer description of it. And I said, this Mayan Oracle is off the chain. I already knew it, but it's just an incredible oracle, especially if you're wanting to understand higher wisdom and to kind of get a bigger picture of spiritual energy, to have that base and that foundation of spiritual understanding so for instance, I like using the oracle because if I pull an oracle card, it gives my mind something to hold on to and to chew on and to think about. So I'm gonna be going through my day the majority of the time feeling pretty good. I run into a bump, I call on the oracle. Maybe I pulled, an energy for the day for myself. And so, okay. Just write what you have and I will look at it, because I have some stuff coming up for y'all regarding E5. And actually, I'm not really talking about planetary transits today. I did start off with that, but I'm talking about wisdom from the Mayan oracle. But Eek is what came up today. And so I just wanted to go over that. My foundation is, in terms of being a diviner and using the oracle, is the Metuneter. And so, and some people say the Metuneter. And so just about everything I learn is I can sort of relate back to that. It's almost like in my mind, I have the ability to translate different oracles to see, what does this really mean? And so for me, Eek is the energy of Amen, which is the great divine consciousness, so-called God. And also, I related to the energy of Nekabat Waichet because Eek, and this is wisdom for you all to use for this week at the very least, but you can use it forever. So Eek is, excuse me, Amen is about the great divine consciousness. And again, the other thing I'll say is that metaphysics is something that resonates with me. And so typically I can kind of explain things using what I've learned from metaphysics. And so we want to remember that there is the great divine consciousness. That's it. That's the ultimate reality. Even for those of us, just to sort of tie it into, the questions that come to me regarding E5. E5 is about what I'm telling you about right now. E5 is to help us remember that there is only one divine consciousness. And of course, in E5, this energy is called Olodumare. Okay? This one beingness. Everything emanates from that beingness in form. Anything that is in form outside of the one great divine consciousness, we now begin talking about polarity. And so this is something that we are wanting to focus on. And I would say not just for this week, like let's work on it for at least a month, maybe longer. There is the oneness and then there is the polarity. You and I interacting here, no question, we are aware of the polarity. And what Eek is saying is, to a certain degree, that's creating issues for us because we're more aware of our, our individuation, our current state of individuation. We're so aware of this that we, to a certain degree, how a lot of us have this longing. We feel like something is missing. That is a reflection of us not being aware of our connection to the one great divine consciousness. And more than anything, we want to experience the understanding of polarity within ourselves. And so one of the things Eek was talking about is what we need to do is to look at the masculine and feminine energies within ourselves. So for instance, I'm born in feminine form, but that does not mean I don't have masculine energy. Translating it to E5. And now I just want to say, and this is one of the things that I hope to clear up for people. E5 is actually, the more I learn about it, especially in all its various forms, because if it's E5, Candomblé, Santeria, Lukumi, and any other variation out there that I may not be calling out, y'all cool believe it's all E5. Okay. At the end of the day, E5 birthed all of that. It's all E5. I don't care about, how one might be mostly in Spanish or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's all E5. So E5 is sort of like church. Even if we just talk E5, E5 sort of like church. Even if we talk E5 on the motherland, it's sort of like church, and all the other spiritual systems. Everybody has their own way of doing it. We got this egg bay over here and that egg bay over there, and they do it this way, and they saying that way is wrong and this way is wrong, and all that kind of good stuff. It's so many different variations of E5. And so what I'm about to say, it's not necessarily what E5 is. It is a version of E5. Because once we got here, we started doing E5 based on our experience here in the West, okay? And so in the West, it is really talked about having a mother and a father who rules your head. For me, that works. That's E5 for me. I'm cool with that E5 because I have a tendency to be leaning in one direction or the other too much. A lot of us are leaning, whether we believe it or not, heavily to the masculine, okay? But some of us really do struggle. We have just so much water energy, so much feminine energy that it's difficult for us to stand up for ourselves. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, okay? Some of us just have this leaning towards the feminine way. It's not necessarily woman, male, feminine, masculine, okay? And so this is something that we really want to do. We want to begin to look at the masculine and the feminine within us. Where are we leaning too heavily? And to understand they're one and the same. That the more we realize it comes from the one true consciousness, it's just a reflection of the one true consciousness, then we can begin to unite it and have them work with each other instead of against each other. For me, I think about how there are times, this is how I'm utilizing it in a more conscious manner. Again, awareness is a key to self-mastery. When we can notice within ourselves. So I'll notice within myself when I think, you know what, I need to call on Shango. I need the energy of Shango right now. Shango, I need your strategy. There are times when I say, nope, I need the strategy of Yemonja right now. I'm needing, however a mama is going to do this thing, that's how I'm going to do it, the Yemonja way. And then there are times when I can sort of like have the two, bring it together. It's really operating in a conscious manner that we can make this beautiful dance between the feminine and the masculine within us work in tandem instead of, this is what incarnating does for us. You're you over there, I'm me right here. It's time out for that. We don't have time for that right now. Eek is calling us to say there is the one divine consciousness. For those of you out there who are in need of forgiveness, or who are in need of forgiving somebody, this is an important concept. When I struggle with somebody and, I begin to realize I'm dealing with somebody's ego more than I'm dealing with the actual spirit. And that comes from me understanding that everything is one divine consciousness. Sometimes I get really lost in thinking, I can't stand this person and this person's getting on my nerves. I do my best to be easygoing and very forgiving. And then I get to that breaking point where my ego takes over and I am just like, I can't stand this person. And then my spirit will get tired of my ego and it'll say, is this really how you want to live your life? Thinking about somebody who you can't stand? Is that really a good use of your ashe, of your energy of focus? Really? Your attention? Really? You want to focus on somebody who's ticking you off? Then I'll say, okay, I have to remember the truth. And this is what we're being called to do. Remember the truth. We're all one divine consciousness. And that people operate from their egos. And I don't have to, as I heard Baba Obafemi say one time, I can love you from the other side of town, but I can't love you because I'm not tricked by your ego. I have to get out of my own ego. I have to be aware of my own ego experience to do this. But I can do that. I can say, you know what? I will not let your ego make me forget that you are the one divine consciousness. So we have to make this a part of the way that it has to be a part of our worldview. It has to be a part of our life philosophy, you know? And this is what we're being called to do. And this Nekhabet white shed energy, I find to be fascinating because really the way I perceive reality is, think about the omnipresence. The omnipresence is everywhere. It's in all things. This is why God is all knowing, because God is everywhere, because God is in everything. Okay. And so everything is infused. And this is, again, something from the Metanetter. Our life force energy, it's an essence. And this is what we want to become more aware of, not so much the physical reality, just as it is. We want to become aware of the physical reality as a thing that's infused with the essence of the divine consciousness, where we feel one with everything. If you don't, that's something that you strive for. It comes through being present in the moment. It comes through being willing to let the boundaries that we put in place around our minds melt away. And again, for all my friends out there that hear the call of Ifa, this is what Ifa has done for me. I'm initiated in the sacred feminine mystery, so I'll say this is what initiation has done for me too. It provides us with the tools to be able to do the work to help dissolve the hard, fixed boundaries that we have around ourselves. Because ultimately, what I find with some people in Ifa, they begin to say, I am beyond this flesh. I am African in this form, and not everybody in Ifa is of African descent. But, for those of us that heard the call because of our African roots, I'll use this as an example for everybody to learn from. I'm beyond, because our ancestors defy that. We are a part of the African consciousness, but we defy that. And Ifa will lead us to that. Ifa says, Orisha. So I am now one with, the wind. I'm one with the water. I'm one with the earth. That's not African. That's Orisha. That's, that's a reflection of the creation, the way that things have been created by the great divine consciousness. Ifa will help us to be able to just keep stepping out all of the hard boundaries that we have on us. We don't want to live like that, And so that's what we're being called to do, is to connect with the essence, the presence of, the great divine consciousness, however we want to call it. That's what we're being called to do right now. And so understanding that we are psychic entities and beings, that we can pick up on everything. We can pick up on the dark. We can pick up on the light. But the best thing that we can do, and this is something that my godmother really pushes, is that breath work. This is why meditation can be so powerful, because we are breathing, and that breath work is helping us to get into a place of transcendence. And so these are things that we want to really bring into our awareness. Hot flash. Okay. So the last thing I want to address, because this was really pivotal for me. I remember the day that I woke up. Now, I'm speaking from the Christian perspective. If you were raised in a different religion, you're going to have to translate what I'm about to say to you, okay? Because I think that this is a wounding that comes from being a part of religion, all right? It's called the fall. So in Christianity, I was raised Catholic. I was one of the last ones to go through what is called the Baltimore Catechism. It is taught about, the fall. Eve ate the fruit, gave the fruit to the man. They woke up, God banished them, cursed them. Okay. There's a book that one of my friends gave me. If you can look up the Gnostic version or explanation of the fall, I encourage you to do so. I encourage anyone that it has a wounding from the fall. and the majority of us do because we treat it, we're treated according to this fall. Um, we read the Gnostic version. That helped me to get free too. I'll try to get the name of that book. I think it's something like when bad things happen to good people. And I'm almost positive that's the book I read that had something about the fall in it, but I'll get that book out. Anywho, I remember one day, as a child, I was taught about the fall, and I remember feeling very guilty. I'm like, because they talk about the original sin and how, Eve was responsible. And so now we have all this pain of childbirth because of Eve. Well, I remember waking up one day when I was initiating, and I was like, I can see the wound of the fall in me. So this is something we really need to come to terms with. Do you have the wound of the fall? Because you can initiate into whatever you want to. If you got a wound of the fall or like that on you, religious. Anyway, I have to remember to put the Wi-Fi on because this thing goes crazy with glitches and stuff, and I don't. But anyway, we want to heal the wound of the fall. This is what Eek is bringing up, okay? This is what Eek is bringing up. We want to heal the wound of the fall. And because sometimes the religious woundings makes us have mental blocks to different rituals and practices. And, it's interesting. I was watching a Babalao speak this weekend about Christians who are coming to Ifa trying to figure out do they have to denounce Christianity and all that kind of good stuff. And so I have seen so many people who struggle with letting go of Christianity. Christianity has them so in a box and so fearful that they have a problem coming to Ifa when Ifa is calling them. When it's in their destiny, check your birth chart out. You might see there, Ifa is calling you, that you were destined to make this change. I have learned some things are our destiny, and we cannot get away from our destiny, and that we have to connect with what is it from our traditions that has us blocked from moving forward to getting what is spiritually ours. And so, I've even noticed, like I have one friend, she used to hate wearing white. Oh, I think she still does. She don't like wearing white. She does not like wearing white because she was raised in a church where they wore white, and it was very dysfunctional. And, she just was like, when she was done, and she would not wear white. Things like that, that's real. That's a simple explanation, but that's real for her. Wearing white, that's, like she probably would never initiate into Ifa because after you initiate as a priest or priestess, we're encouraged to wear white. She won't do it. She's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. So we really want to come to terms with those things so that we can open ourselves up to what is really for us. But if I will give you anything to do over the next few weeks, it is to establish a breathwork practice as well as to do yoga and to become aware of subtle energies that we are picking up on and looking at how they influencing us. Look at the subtle energy of your food. That's a very easy one to consider. Eat food aware, present, conscious, and look at how does it affect you. Or maybe go to work and just look at who's affecting you how, or what activities are affecting you in what way. You're on TV, you're off TV. What's the difference? You're on, social media, you're off social media. What's the difference for you? Looking at the subtle energies, and you want to move yourself to those things in your life. Even colors, you can test colors. I try to wear colors based on what I need. So right now I have on red because I went to bed last night working on taxes. And I need energy, which is Aries and Mars. This is fiery energy. But, there are times when I want to be more Aquarian like. So I'll put on more like Aquarius colors or whatever. We need to look at the effects of colors on us. But really do the breath work and be intentional to look at the subtle energies and then begin to look at just all of, connecting with the divine consciousness, trying to resolve so much awareness of duality, even making peace with the things in your life that look opposite They're not. They're just divine emanations. Okay, so let me see here. Nia. I grew up very Southern Baptist. Oh, okay. My fourth is in Virgo. Oh, okay. And so the way, and I know you want to ask me about E5, but yeah, that's Nia knows her chart. She grew up very Southern Baptist in a very conservative environment. The fourth house has to do with the home environment. And so, you know, yeah, Virgo is like, we will not deviate, straight and narrow. Everybody must be on point, picky, picky, picky. And I can definitely see how Virgo can be related to a conservative home and religious upbringing. I've been meditating on joining E5 for the last 2 years. I really wanted to do my research before I committed myself. Truly, E5 came to, okay. I live in Southeast Virginia. I'm only 21. I'm still in college, but I know I have to get deeper into this practice. Okay, Nia, you are at such a perfect stage in your life. You are who I do what I do for. I do it for many reasons, but I typically am thinking about those of you who are quite a bit younger than me, because it's our responsibility to help you all figure out your way in E5 in spirituality, because there's a generation that came before me that had it even harder than I've had it. I've had to figure out way less than my godparents, And so I'm trying to help y'all figure out way less. So this is what I want to tell you. I'm very proud of you for meditating on E5 for the last 2 years. And E5 found me right, maybe a little bit older, but in my early 20s, E5 found me. So since it seems like a little more advanced knowledge about E5, about astrology. What I want to encourage you to do is to continue to learn about E5, to connect with people, and you're more than willing, more than free to, more than welcome, I should say, to stay connected with me, because I keep getting all these questions, which letting me know about E5, which is letting me know I've got to help people figure out what to do, because E5 is a calling, as you have said. But you want to connect with people and learn as a way of developing yourself more than anything. That's what E5 wants us to do. E5 is the wisdom matrix that is in place to help us in our spiritual growth and evolution. And so you want to do that. And then once you get to your Jupiter return, to me, and we can look at your birth chart, or maybe somebody who can look at it and sort of know. But I think a fail-safe age to initiate is 24, because that's when we have our first Jupiter return. We're way more mature. We're way more understanding about what life is, and more clear about the direction in which we want to take our life. And initiating into E5, everybody has their own opinions. And this is why I'm going to bring on different voices. 2 people come from the same house. Another one is an elder that has been around for a long time. But it all begins in how, I look at initiation as on different levels. Let me just say what I believe. Initiation, getting your leges, is something I think you could do today, because it can begin to open the door a bit more. That's what initiation is about. It's about opening a door for you to walk through. And so, doing something like that. But priesthood, everyone has their opinion, but I am just really, based on my experience with initiating into the sacred feminine mysteries, 24 is the best age to begin to think about somebody initiating, especially into the priesthood. 27 for the Saturn return, that's when you can take a bigger leap. But E5 is technology that we can use today. And so some of the things I plan on talking about are things you can do today. So something I'll tell you, Nia, is I encourage you to connect with your ancestors. begin to, set up that altar, feed your ancestors, pour libations. That's foundational to those of us here in the West, especially in the United States. The other thing that I'll tell you that I think is key is to develop a relationship with your Ori. If you look through my Goddess Guru playlist, I think I've made a video or two on the Ori. If you see anything about Ori, watch that video. Because for me, I had to figure out before I initiated into Yemonja that my Ori is the guiding light. My Ori is the one that said, okay, you'll initiate into Yemonja. Okay. Yeah, Yemonja called me, but Ori is the one that had to sanction it. How many people, and I don't know if you know this, but how many people were told they needed to initiate into one Orisha, and they ended up initiating into a different one? Too many of us to count. It's the Ori. The Ori is what Yemanya is pointing me in the direction of. Yemanya is the energy that's providing the medicine that will heal me up to be able to operate where I walk. Me and my Ori are one. Okay? So, yes, I'm glad you watched those videos. And just keep watching. And April 29th is when I'm supposed to have on Iya Omilana. She's my elder in Ifa, one of my elders in Ifa that agreed to come on and talk about what is it to initiate. I want her to talk about what it's like in the house that she's a part of, because it's a little bit different from the house that I'm in. But our houses work together and are very eclectic and non-traditional. I mean, at the end of the day, we roll differently. But what they teach works. Okay. So the best thing you can do is to continue to develop yourself spiritually. That's what Ifa is. It's a spiritual tool, towards your evolution. And you use the tools of Ifa to help you grow. But the good news is, at least in my opinion, I'm not limiting myself to just Ifa. And Ifa does not require that. There are no tenets of belief and you got to be this way or that way. Again, like I said, if you're with people like that, you might want to check it out and maybe leave. Okay. There are no boxes in Ifa. All things decent and in order in Ifa. But, it's very different from Christianity. It's very, for me, liberating and free. But again, that's because I'm not part of a house that has put me in a box. If I can put you in a box, like I said, it's just like church. It can be. And so that's what we want to make sure. That's my goal, to make sure that y'all don't get caught up in Ifa like we get wounded up in the church, because it's possible folks have been wounded. Okay. So good taking your time. Let me ask you a question, Nia. What do you have a question about? I know you said you've been meditating on it. Are you just still in is there something you want to know? Should you do? Have I given you something that you can work with? Ask me a question. And if I can't answer it, we'll ask Iya Omilana or the other two Babalas that I will eventually get on. Anybody who has a question, okay, let me know. And I will get the questions. I'll do everything I can to get the questions answered, from my perspective and other people's perspective. Or maybe there's just one good answer. But just about everybody I know, all the elders, they say, if I ain't gonna save you, it can be a tool to help you save yourself, though. All right. Love y'all. Thank you for that question, Nia. And I'm very proud of you. Welcome home, baby girl. I know you grown. Welcome home, sweetie pie. Welcome home. I loved it when my Baba said that to me. Welcome home. Because Ifa is home for so many of us. Love you all. Hope that this wisdom sharing is helpful. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Please like the video, share the video, and If you need divination, you can go to my website, goddessbodymindspirit.com. Blessings of the Mother be upon you. Have a great week. Peace.